But the point is, most of us don't.
Right.
They're constantly, if you listen and how they're doing and how they portray, that they condition what they're doing through TV, different, save the whale, save the propaganda. When you start seeing it and hearing it, here's another one I just love. It's a GE, which is evil, commercial, and the woman goes, and it's a black woman, I was working for GE for 35 years,
Oh, yeah.
and they now have given me another job. And I went, to start all over? And then another woman in hard hat, I look around and there's construction jobs everywhere. And I'm like, where's she driving? In China where GE's got their employees? No, seriously.
Yeah,
These are the commercials.
yeah.
There's no construction around. But if you watch enough commercials with GE going, there's construction all around. Then the person goes, well, maybe it's just not in my town, but they're seeing it, oh good. No, they're not seeing it. They're brainwashing you through commercials. If you watch all the commercials with the energy, talking about wind and solar and the new, that's all brainwashing people. We know the solar doesn't work. Pay attention, especially CBS is the most rotten to the core there, and I know the history, so I watched that like a hawk. Here's another one, The Good Wife. It's a cop show. I watched the plots, like they did the Bitcoins, and that's a true thing because I'm gold and silver person, and how they went after and prosecuted, that's true. They tried prosecuting, but they couldn't find them. I like the storylines. They also did riots in Syria, where they were using an internet company to like transfer messages through Twitter and everything. So they came in and was trying to sue for the murder of the brother's sister, but the sister wasn't dead. They faked it to shut down the Twitter stuff. I mean, this stuff goes on. I mean, do you think it's so coincidence if you look at the Minority Report and you know anything about RFID, that they did this years ago? And it's Hollywood pushing the agenda. Why are the Hollywood people, Samuel Jackson, the crazy lunatic, Sean Penn, all these, George Clooney, huge communists, why are all the communists always pushing the crap?
They're making the money.
Well, because we're too busy watching Dancing with the Idiots, and we idolize. You know, I looked at my sister's. It's Dancing with the Idiots, sorry. That's all my sister watches. I actually have a fit when I go up there because it's Oprah and Dancing with the Idiots, and what was the one last night where you chased through Italy? It was Amazing Race. But I get, she gets her People magazine and she says, here, you want to look at it? I'm flipping through before I leave it. I don't know a single person. I'm like, I don't even know who this is. You know, I have a funny story about Snooki. I heard Obama mention Snooki, and I went into conniption fit because I thought it was a czar. That I hadn't heard of and that I didn't know. Because I thought if Obama has mentioned something called Snooki, it had to be a czar. It sure heck wasn't some fat chick in New Jersey that's on a reality TV show, which is what it was. But I remember my heart going, Snooki, oh my God, who the heck is that? Pay attention to how they're brainwashing and what they're doing and what they're saying and what the commercials are saying and who's saying it. It's very subliminal. It's very, and it's funny, ever since I've had my training, it just jumps out at me. It's funny, I'll call up my mentor and I go, I know it's saying something, I can't figure it out, but I'm sending it to you. But I know it's there. I can feel it, I know it's there. But one thing, it was really funny, I know this sounds bizarre, but God told me to go see the movie called The Debt. Anybody ever heard of that?
Heard of it.
The Debt. It was about the a team going after a doctor that did all these experimental scientists on the Nazis. And he was still alive. He was a gynecologist, and he had gotten out. And instead of being tried for his war crimes, Israel and America teamed up and went to go get this doctor, and they wanted him live so they could try him for doing all these experiments. So they captured him. American and an Israel girl was the spies. And of course, America backs out after they get them. What a surprise. And they're sitting there with them, and they don't know what to do with them. And the girl's feeding them, and she's Jewish, and she's from Israel. And she pulls the tape. She's the only one that's nice to him. The guys like kick him and hate him. And she pulls the duct tape off his mouth, and she's feeding him. And as soon as she said the lines, I knew why God. I mean, it's really weird. I saw the previews, and God said very clearly to me, go see this movie. I'm like, okay. And he said, you were so easy to kill. And she's just feeding him. And he said, Do you know how many Nazis it took to round you stupid Jews up? And she just feeds them. She's not saying anything. And he goes, I don't know either, but it wasn't 1-to-1. You didn't fight. You didn't do anything, even when we came after your children.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm fighting.
Yep.
I'm fighting
Amen.
all the way.
And so are the Jews now. They say, never again, Masada, never again.
Well,
And they mean
they
it.
voted for Obama.
No,
Yeah.
the Jews in Israel, I don't mean.
Well, I'm here. They're almost atheists. I don't know what the deal is. But, yes, sir.
I went to a program at our church last night, and there was a Jewish guy speaking, and he was a Messianic Jew.
Yes.
And he told me that we're living in the 1930s right now with anti-Semitism.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just despicable.
Yes.
It's very.
It's exactly
It's very
right.
scary that the Jews don't wake up. They're doing the same thing. Hitler promised nationalized health care. Hitler's, was taking the children. Chavez did it, Cuba. When they came into Cuba, everybody thought that Castro, I said Chavez, I meant Castro. Castro was a good guy.
Yeah.
They all voted him in. Marco Rubio's parents, here's the real story from a real Cuban who was with them. Marco Rubio's parents helped get him in. They went to the America states raising money to bring Castro in because they thought he was a good guy.
Yeah.
Rubio's parents goes back and he's a monster and they get out by the skin of their teeth and go back to America. Do they know, remember, how do you kill, how do you deceive? You lie. And people go, well, they wouldn't be doing this, why? Because you think they'd be telling the truth? You think they're going to tell us?
No.
Yeah. So as I said, it is out there. We will win the fight. We just have to know that we're going to win the fight. We're going to keep talking. We're going to keep educating. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if you've read the book, The Hunger Games.
No, but I just picked that up at my sister's house.
Well, you need to read it because it's Agenda 21 on steroids.
Really?
But it's really interesting. All the people are in, there's been a massive cataclysm sort of a
Oh,
thing.
always.
And they've
Like
taken over, the
Contagion.
elite has taken over. All the people are in districts, and like one district is agricultural, one district is manufacturing, one district is coal mining, and this is all they can't go between districts. You can't hunt the animals. The animals are all preserved. It's illegal to go for the
Oh
animals.
my God, I've got to get
Everybody's hungry, and the reason it's called the Hunger Games is because in celebration of the original takeover, one person from each district every year it has to come and join in the Hunger Games, which is really kind of a,
Gladiator?
well, it's more than that. It's a really good book. I can't imagine how they made it into a movie, and it's a trilogy actually. I'm
Yeah,
into
it's
the
3
second-
books. I actually
into
had the first and
one
second.
now.
How weird. I picked it up yesterday and looked at it and thumbed through and went,
Well, read
something
it.
tells me I
It
need to
becomes
read that.
a little trite eventually, but it's interesting when it talks about how this all came about and what's actually happening and how people have to
Earn the right to
earn
eat.
the right to live. And actually, you can put your name into this big pot that they draw from in your district more than once. And if you do, if you put your name in like 20 times, your family gets a certain amount of food.
So you get the mark of the beast.
Well, you get food, your family gets food, and everybody's starving, so people do this, which means that the odds are that your name is gonna come up.
Oh, to
And
be
the-
in the Hunger Games.
Yes, and
Got
the
it.
gist of the whole thing is this young woman who jumps in and says, I'll go for my 12-year-old sister.
Well,
Okay.
I can
And-
tell you this, every bit of what I told you is true. You can put the tinfoil hat on me so you can sleep tonight, or you can join me in the fight, but I'm gonna do, unlike the Jews did, I'm fighting all the way. Because the DNA I will leave will be a free country. I'm not gonna look at my sister's kids and say I did nothing.
Right.
While they're watching Dancing with the Idiots, I'm out fighting. And let me tell you something else. I don't know if you know this, but 3% of the, I'm gonna say communists, of the patriots in our country fought to get our freedom. 10% finance, 3% did it. Most of them went home and shut their shutters and said, I'll live under the king because I don't know any different and I'm scared. The biggest, I fear no communists, I fear no elitists, I fear apathetic Americans.
Absolutely.
Amen.
And we can get to them. And I hate to say it, but the scarier and horrible it gets, the more they wake up.
Oh, yeah.
more people have woken up, as much as I hate Obama. He's
Right.
woken up more people
Yeah.
because McCain was doing this, Bush was
Oh,
doing this,
yeah.
Bush Senior's doing it.
So-called conservatives.
People have woken up to this man. And Romney will do it too. He actually had John Holdren work for him. Yes.
You said that you were watching the 401Ks, IRAs and all of that.
Yeah.
What can you tell us
He's a
about
wolf.
that?
Well, I know that they're eyeballing them, and I know that to save our country, the only real dollar assets that our country has left is actually in our 401Ks. It's trillions of dollars.
Yep.
They did it in Argentina, they did it in other countries. I have not contributed to my 401K since '08. They look at that money as theirs as long as you haven't paid taxes on it. I'm very concerned for our seniors. I don't suggest, and people say, oh, convert it to gold, so they know where your gold is, sitting in the IRA, give me a break. If anything, well, you're seniors, most of you, so you can cash it out with the 15% penalty. I'm actually considering, and my broker knows it, I said, when I call you up, you're not gonna argue with me. You're going to take it out and you're gonna charge me 15%, and I will gladly pay to have whatever left, because here's what I'm fearing. That they'll take the money, and me being 45, and they'll take the cash and they'll force me to invest in treasuries,
Which will work
and,
well.
which is worth nothing but an IOU, and so when I turn 65, I will have nothing. So, I'm very, very concerned about that, so that's why I have a Google alert on it. They actually tried in September of 2009 or 10, discussing it, and say what they would do is, they would basically take away, like, you know, I get pre-tax for putting in, so they take away that unless I put it in treasuries. Kind of a soft enforce, they call it nudge.
Yeah.
So they penalized me if I didn't put them in the investments that they wanted, or insurance companies. That was another option, because if you don't know, insurance companies has the biggest lobbies, and they would put it into certain annuities that would back the government.
Yep.
So, that's interesting. If you've never heard on Bank on Yourself, has anybody ever heard on that? You need to research it. I actually did it. I spent 3 years researching what do I do, and I almost signed up to do a course so I could learn it, because I looked at annuities and different things, and there's bad and pros with annuities, but the Bank on Yourself, the way it works is that you can put money in, and then when you turn 65, you can pull it back out as a loan. You don't have to pay it back.
Like a
So
reverse mortgage.
exactly. So if I have $1.5 million of life insurance, I don't really care because I don't have kids.
Right.
My sisters and brothers and their kids get it. But if I needed some money when I turn 65, because Social Security's not going to be there when I get there,
Cash.
then I can do it. Also, if something happens and I lose my job or disability, I can still get it in the way they structure it, and it can still be a loan against my death benefit, and I don't pay taxes on it.
Right.
I don't sell it, I'm not making any profit, but it's something that I researched that you might want to look at doing, Bank on Yourself. I read a book written by Patrick Kelly called Tax-Free Retirement. He doesn't sell insurance, it's just a book, it's like $15, it's a paperback. I suggest you read Tax-Free Retirement. And he talks about using life insurance as a plan for savings. John McCain actually used this same plan to finance his campaign. So a lot of politicians, and I said, well, what if they change the rules? Because that freaked me out, you know. And they said, well, it's going to be really hard because the two categories that have the biggest lobbies are bankers and life insurance and insurance. And so the elitists know they use these policies. Pelosi has it, McCain has it. I mean, they use these policies because they know what it is, and it's tax-free in. So the lobbyists fight, and they use it. So they kind of, you know, they're selfish. They protect it. But it's Patrick Kelly, K-E-L-L, I think it's E-Y, but it's Tax-Free Retirement. You can get it on Amazon.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Because I know there are probably a lot of people here who already own their homes.
Right.
You know, they may not be worth what they thought they were going to
Right.
do, but they
They
don't
own it
have a
outright.
mortgage,
Correct.
so they have property taxes. And
Yep, that goes up and up and up and up.
Yeah, that continues to rise. However, when we're looking at this scenario, is there an advantage to not having a mortgage, having your little homestead, and maybe you have chickens and a
As
milk
long as they
goats?
allow you, as long as they allow it. I mean, I can't do it where I live in a townhome, but My parents are on 22 acres in Blairsville, Georgia. My stepmother's a realtor, and I told her, whatever you do not sell this property for anything. You know, she has chickens. You know, I'm looking at it. I mean, literally, I consider looking at a cow going, I don't know if I can drag a cow up to Dad and Jane's. I walked in at Valentine's and says, nothing says I love you like a Remington 870. And then I went out and told her how to